Join us today on the Final Hour podcast as we take you through 31 events in the Great Tribulation. It's going to be a timeline. We're excited. See you there.
We interrupt your program to issue a severe warning for an impending emergency making its way to your area. We urge you to be watchmen of the times and to be prepared with the essential knowledge and supplies for the wake of the final hour.
Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. I almost said welcome to the Great Tribulation, and I caught myself.
It's going to be great.
We might need to make some of those cuts for like future people to watch it. Welcome to the Tribulation.
Welcome to the Great Tribulation. Welcome. You've made it to the Great Tribulation. Here are some things you should know.
Yes.
Upcoming
events.
I like it.
Are we really rolling right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, right. So
I'm Lonaiah Farrell. We're so happy to be here today.
Yeah, we are. My name is John Gapp. Shout out to Baltimore, Sean, and Trent. Saw you at the coffee house. Love you.
Wow.
No.
Hi, Mom.
Already, it's kicking in. I wanted to do Lonaiah.
All right, yeah.
Have a coffee drink.
Jeremiah Dupree is producing, JD. And we're happy to be with you.
You should just do it.
This Minnesota fall is ramping up.
Yep. The rain's coming.
I have about 8 inches of leaves in my backyard. I'm the kind of person that waits until they're all down before I mess with it.
You and me both. Right?
Especially with my backyard. So we're excited today. We got the Tribulation Timeline we're going to start with. Last week we left off on the Tribulation Timeline. We went through the 7 seals. Number 1, Antichrist rising with the false prophet. Number 2, a spirit of murder, war, and violence ramped up all over the planet. Seal number 3, economic collapse and famine. Number 4, 1/4 the earth being killed by either hunger, death, or animal attacks. Seal number 5, believers being martyred, or people that make a stand for Jesus after the rapture. We went into detail about that. People that are late to the party and realize that we are all not a bunch of crazy people, that Jesus Christ is real. This 5th seal, obviously mass believers dying. 6th seal, we know for sure, it looks like worldwide earthquake, the sun going dark, the moon turned to red. We talked about how scholars believe the phrase falling stars falling to earth like overripe figs falling from a tree being blown by a heavy wind is possibly describing nuclear war in that 6th seal. And so on this timeline, very early in the tribulation, right away after the Antichrist rises, which is seal number 1, what does he has as a 7-year covenant or contract that he signs with Israel right away, right after the first seal? And you can see that in Daniel 9:27. He shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate until the consummation and the determined shall be poured upon the desolate. So this scripture here is talking about some other things that we're going to get into later in the timeline. But it tells you that he has a 7-year covenant, all right? 1 week means 7 years in this case. Mm-hmm. And so, I did a 19-week series on the book of Daniel in church. And, every verse, there's not one verse in Daniel we did not discuss. So he confirms the covenant, and we'll talk about how he breaks that covenant. But this is somewhere, in my opinion, between the 1st and 2nd seal, all right? I guess you guys, I thought we're just going to run through this stuff, unfortunately, but I have not talked about the 144,000 being sealed with the mark of God in any podcast yet, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think we barely talked
just
about it.
Just touched it last week.
Yeah.
Well, let me. Can I just read you the 8 scriptures we're really going through? Revelation 7, 1 through 8.
Please do, Jim.
I think that'd be great.
That would be great. I'm looking forward to it.
You should. I dare you to take a 3-second sip of that coffee right now.
I need to save it.
Okay. After these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth. The wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Now this is important, so stay with me. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 1,200, or 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. The tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtalium were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. Stay with me here. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi, interesting, were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000. The tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. I know that's long, kind of monotonous, but listen. After the 6 seals are open, all right, Revelation 7:1 has 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, is what the Bible said. The Bible says to prevent any wind from blowing, all right? Most prophecy experts believe that these angels are standing at the 4 points that you would see on a compass, north, south, east, and west. And they're controlling the winds. Why? Because the airborne plagues from the previous seals that we talked about last week would spread all over the world. And I do have to say...
How detailed.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I'm learning stuff that, we've been through the book of Revelation. We haven't talked about this. Yeah. There's so much we haven't talked about. So you'll see that as we're doing this timeline, if I come across something we haven't talked about, I'm going to go into detail about it, okay? Rather than just wrapping through the timeline, one after the other, right?
Right.
So Tim LaHaye, who's a prophecy expert, quoting out of the book by Damon R. Duck, called Revelation, God's Word for the Biblically Inept. Okay? Go ahead, you guys.
You had that book last week, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was...
Yes. It was great.
It looks awesome.
It's an incredible book.
I'd love to read through it.
Damon R. Duck.
You can borrow it when we're done.
Look him up.
Damon Duck.
The greatest revival the world has ever known
Mr. Duck.
does not occur within the church age. Tim LaHaye says it occurs during the tribulation period. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's why we see, in the 5th seal, all those believers being martyred.
Yeah.
Because when the rapture happens, people are going to come to God. Mm-hmm. It's just what's going to happen.
Especially all the people that, that you've been preaching to on a regular basis, like in your life, all of a sudden they go, oh.
That's what they were talking about.
They were trying to tell me.
I'll tell you what. I'd never seen more people at church after 9/11.
Yeah.
Remember when 9/11 happened?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, it was full for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Full. Right? Anytime there's a disaster like that, especially worldwide, they're going to come flooding in, right?
Yep.
So I'm just paraphrasing Revelation 7:2. You have an angel coming out of the east that has the seal of the living God, and it has him calling out to the 4 angels at the corners of the earth, north, south, east, west, and we can tell he has authority over those 4 angels that have been stationed around the earth. Just before these angels unleash their power, he stops them. And he has the seal of the living God in his hand. And it's going to be used to mark the 144,000 Jews. So the 4 angels are commanded to hold back until God's servants can be sealed. The Bible does not say what the seal is, but it says they're protected by some type of mark on their forehead, and scholars believe it's an actual mark. So now looking at Revelation 7, verses 4 through 8, paraphrasing He's going to seal 144,000 Jews coming from the 12 tribes of Israel. Something so interesting, a lot of people probably didn't notice. The tribes of Dan and Ephraim were left out. Am I pronouncing that right?
Ephraim, yeah.
Ephraim were left
You're right
out.
there.
Most prophecy experts believe Dan and Ephraim were left out of this because they were so bad in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Judges, I say listen because that's what I do. I listen.
Yeah.
First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles, First and Second Samuel. They are always causing issues, especially with worshiping idols. Many people believe they're disqualified from being the special servants of God. And I'll tell you what's really interesting. A lot of people believe the false prophet comes from the tribe of Dan. And we don't have time to talk about why.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is the tribe of Levi and Joseph are added to the 12 marked tribes of the tribulation period.
There's some really interesting people that are tracking the tribe of Dan and how they kind of broke away even from the area of Israel. And it's, I don't want to go into conspiracy, but yeah, they like, there's a lot of people that say they moved from Israel up into Europe, and there's a lot of...
Or they could be the Chinese. Have you heard of Chinese Jews?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, did they run to Ethiopia? Right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
Ethiopian Jews.
Yeah.
And yeah.
A lot of those Ethiopian Jews even have like DNA markers that are the same as the Levites.
Wow, wouldn't that be something if the Ethiopian Jews were the Levites?
Right.
Anyways, Levi was the tribe of priests in the Old Testament.
Yep.
And they weren't counted among the 12 tribes, all right, when the Bible counts them out. The tribe of Joseph was not even an original tribe.
Right.
That's listed here. So that's really funny about this. Just a side note, the Jehovah's Witnesses, which is a cult, think they are going to be the 144,000 people. So you get how some of these cults use the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Use the Bible. But this verse clearly states the 144,000 are coming from the 12 tribes of Israel.
Yep.
If you have any sense at all, you realize that this completely excludes the Gentiles.
Right.
So how the 144,000 people can be Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sure they have something, right, that they come up with of why. But
it's one of those replacement theories, replacement theology type situations.
And if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you're not going to heaven. So you can write in about that. All right. Anyways, so it's my opinion, you're not going to heaven. Let's look at news number one. And listen. I did a study on the Mormons and all those guys, right? Jehovah's Witnesses, all these things that say, the Mormons will tell you they're Christians. Mm-hmm. They're not Christians. They're not Christians.
They have.
I have a joke about the Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, let's not tell jokes about them.
It's funny.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Go on.
Well, it's just, there's such, there's really weird relationships with even how Jesus is portrayed in the Bible in Mormonism and Jehovah's Witness.
Well, I tell you what, the Mormons will not tell you that you only get to heaven through believing Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
They will not tell you that.
Right.
Okay? There's other things you have to do as a Mormon.
Yes, right? I have Mormon family members. They're very interesting.
Yes, but I don't know how we got on the Mormons. But let's just go into the news number one here.
Good times.
Scientists are calling for a moratorium on 5G after study shows regulators ignoring health risks of regulations or of radiation. I'm not on my game.
Seems problematic.
It does. And
wait. Regulators are ignoring health risks of radiation on 5G, just to make sure you have that clear.
They're saying it's like animals, humans, and the scientists who did this study, we have the link in the article, so I don't want to say it wrong, but I feel like it's Boston University. It's a very elite program who ran this study, and I was kind of shocked at what the information they came out with, because Everybody wants to push 5G, all this stuff. And it's interfering. I know we've talked about this before, but it interferes with airplanes. Like airlines are having issues, so everybody has to update everything. But you can protect against some some radiation coming into you. Like there's things you can use. I know we've talked about it before. Like I have a thing on my phone that blocks you from it. It looks like it doesn't do anything, but we've gotten tested at our holistic doctor, and you hold these things and she does a radiation test. And without that on it for a week and with that on it for a week, it totally makes a difference. Wow. Yeah, you have
You're
it.
going to think this is funny, but I only have a 4G just for that reason.
Yeah.
It's why I carry a flip. But even there are things that you could put something like this on your microwave.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yes.
And
Anything.
You should put this on your phone. People think this is a joke, okay? But it's not a joke. And they're coming to find out, you're holding 5G up to your head all day.
Yeah, they're saying the amount of cancer and just radiation levels in people are astronomical now because of all this.
And
you have your phone on you all the time.
Right.
And gee, what a coincidence, right? That now they're just saying 5G regulators are ignoring health risks of radiation. And so,
Right.
would you eat plant-based steak after seeing how a 3D printer builds one?
I don't care either way. I just don't like it. I want
Plant-based
meat. I want
anything?
meat.
Right.
We're
A
back to that.
3D printer is making food.
I mean, it's like edible Play-Doh, right?
Gross.
Right. It's
Yeah.
plant-based Play-Doh, and they extrude it out in a 3D printer and call it a steak.
That's disgusting.
They're trying to get rid of the animals, the animal
Right,
meat, the animal protein. You've got the food shortages. I'm telling you.
This is how they're going to combat the food
they're
shortages.
coming.
Printer food.
Oh yeah, I
They're
mean,
coming.
it is proliferating media, because even on the Great British Bake Off, one of the hosts is like, "Oh yes, crickets are great. They're a great source of protein," and they like had to have like they were talking about
the
it.
store Aldi is putting in crickets as and they're giving suggestions to people in the meals when you walk in and you can grab a thing.
Yeah.
It says like meal replacements. It's like crickets, bugs, blah blah blah.
Listen,
Nasty. Fine if you whatever.
Republicans are demanding answers from Biden officials on report that China has opened a police arm in New York City.
Very worrying.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know, but after
So
reading,
they've got an actual station?
Yeah.
yes, they do.
Multiple seats.
And-
Track down their nationalists?
That's what they say, yeah.
But wasn't that kind of like what
What
we
are
were
we
reading
doing?
about with Iran and how they monitor their Shiite people in other countries? Don't you feel like China's just doing that slowly to just get a base in somewhere and then they can just...
They're all over
infiltrate.
Canada. We've reported that
Yeah.
these places are all over Canada.
But they're in New York City.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you for doing that. Letting them in like that.
It's probably part of... Yeah.
Republican governors all over the country are stating that they will not enforce the CDC's COVID being added to the child vaccine schedule.
I cannot believe it.
The CDC only has the power we give it.
Yeah,
Okay?
Right.
I agree.
So good.
Good governors. We need to have a new governor here in Minnesota who
We
will
do.
not go along with that.
Yeah, Jensen said he was
Tripe.
against it. If it's the parents'
He's an
decision,
actual
it's not.
doctor,
Yes,
too.
he is an actual doctor.
It should
My
be
aunt and
you-
uncle have gone to him for years.
Your decision on
Yes.
what
Yes.
your child gets put in him or her.
But you
Your
know
decision.
But can I say
Okay?
one other thing about the vaccine, you guys? So before the CDC put this in place and made it be mandatory, okay, they put it in place and made it mandatory. The next day, the Pfizer vaccine shot up in price.
Yeah.
It was like $93 or something. Now
Right.
it's $147 per vaccine.
Yeah.
It's just a moneymaker for
Well,
them. They all are have their hands in the.
And it's interesting to look how the U.S. government, the federal government, prolonged the Emergency Powers Act. And a lot of people say that they're prolonging it so that Pfizer can continue to make money, even though Pfizer is
What's the
under
kickback for all
fire.
these people?
Exactly. Pfizer's under fire since the European Union address that
They
they said the vaccine does not stop transmission. We
transmission.
didn't know, So
They didn't know.
there's a lot of people talking about how there's a little bit of correlation.
Yes, there's a lot bit.
There are some people making a lot of money over a state sanctioned vaccination.
Right.
In the meantime, Alberta, Canada is deliberately erasing hospital records of vaccine injury. Just as Canada's free press has largely stopped reporting people dying suddenly unless they're famous, Alberta's health service is now erasing ER records of the vaccine injured. And
That's just sad.
Yep, you have several recent UFO sightings reported by pilots over the Pacific Ocean. Obviously, they're trying to hide the vaccine thing, right?
Right.
Hunter Biden's laptop documents at least 450 legal violations on that thing. Watchdog Group says there's a ex-Keystone pipeline worker states that Biden administration has everything to do with rising energy costs. Yeah. And I tell you what, we all know that.
Yes.
We should all know that. If you're truly informed, it is not the Ukraine war.
No.
Okay?
No.
The U.S. has only 25 days of diesel supply, and I'm sure they're not. Are they reporting that on CNN?
No.
Shortage could cripple our economy. The U.S. only has 25 days of diesel supply. That stops. What happens with the diesel? We run out of diesel. That's how your stuff gets moved around the country.
Yeah, and it has to do with the regulations that we were talking about this summer, that different corporations and part of the government just putting a clamp down on even being able to ship enough diesel to where it needs to be.
Right. Well, if we went to shut down the Keystone pipeline, we would have, I think it was like 100 million, 100 something barrels of oil a day that would have come from Canada to the United States, and it wouldn't have been a problem.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah.
And, this is all kind of coming together, all right? New Zealand farmers are protesting livestock emission tax. So it seems like, doesn't it seem like that New Zealand and Australia are ahead of everything on that? Mm-hmm. Like they're the first ones to do this stuff, along with Canada. And, but this is,
That's because the Jacinda lady is just a little puppet.
Oh, she's...
listen, they have an emission tax on livestock. In other words, they're saying that the cows, they have flatulence and that pollutes the air. So farmers are enraged and said it's an assault on food production.
Right. It is.
They're assaulting food production around the world. This is why they want to get you used to eating bugs, okay? And plants.
Printer meat.
Right. And so, just a quick one here. Organized retail crime has become a $100 billion problem. Yeah. And it's growing dramatically. Just something to think of while you're voting. Okay, NYPD on pace they're going to lose 4,000 police this year. All right. Gee, I wonder why that's happening. New York's judge rules that continue absentee mail-in voting based on COVID is unconstitutional. We're talking about voter drop boxes, right? Being set all over the city.
And also people stating that they won't come to the polls because they're afraid of COVID. They're like, that is 2 years old. It's time to move on. You need to come in person and vote.
But the voter drop boxes were used.
Yes, illegally.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay. And so those need to be taken away. Right? Like I have a mail-in because I thought I was going to be gone. So I just went ahead.
And mailed it in.
I'm gonna be gone, right? And
yes.
So the point is but that gets mailed into my city council, right?
Yes.
I'm not dropping it in.
And no one's opening it before election day. That's the other thing.
Right.
You mail these into places or you drop them off and people look at them for accuracy to see, and then what? They get thrown away if they don't like what box is checked?
Yep.
Just assumptions.
Listen, this one, we can't talk much about because we're not allowed to really hit conspiracy theories. I will say before we roll this, this will not be, in the end, a conspiracy theory. And I think in the end, this will bring a lot of people down. Newsmax cuts ties with Lara Logan after she said world leaders dying on the blood of children.
Yeah.
But can I say something? Because we talked about the demon that is from the beginning of time that has just drank off the blood. Harlot. Yes.
The harlot of
so
Revelation.
it's not, I mean, it's stated in the Bible that that's a thing. And if you look at things in the Bible, the world tries to copycat everything. So I'm just
Yeah, we did a
giving
whole
some
series.
validity to that statement, that conspiracy.
And that's why we're not going to spend much time. But I do want it was interesting because this is the incident in question occurred when Logan, who's an award-winning former war correspondent, was interviewed by Newsmax on this show called The Balance. His first question to Logan was about undocumented migrants entering the United States through the Mexican border in vast numbers. And she says, she said God believes in sovereignty, national identity, and the sanctity of family. And she says the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world through all these people who are his stooges and his servants. And they may think they're going to become gods. Stay with me here. That's what they tell us. You've all known historian Yuval Noah Harari, all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that guy multiple times.
This is this correspondent, Logan, talking. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For viewers who are not, in fact, aware of these burgeoning gods, Logan clarified, the ones who want us eating insects and cockroaches and that while they dine on the blood of children. Okay, and it's very interesting. We'll just kind of leave it at that.
That was her statements, and wow.
Yep. It's something that will come out. It's funny. A lot of the conspiracy theories are not conspiracy theories anymore. No. And I think this is one that will not be. People that go too far, investigate this too much, many of them have died. And they're not even celebrity-type journalists. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to wait until more information comes out on this, but I think it's pretty great. It's pretty great that she's saying something. And you know what? I would, actually, by the way things have gone, I would worry for the health and safety of Lara Logan.
We should pray for her.
Yeah, seriously, because anybody that's got any clout that's come out and said something about this stuff has died.
Yes.
Many people.
She got to a little bit of fame during 2020, 2021 because she was coming out against Anthony Fauci.
Yes.
And the different vaccine mandates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, compared him to a Nazi doctor messing with the Jews.
Dr. Evil.
Yes. But anyways, Fauci.
No, Dr. Death. Yeah.
Fauci, Jen Psaki, and top Biden officials are going to be deposed, okay, in a free speech case. Finally.
Missouri leading the way with that one.
Finally, someone's doing something. A court approved a request Friday to depose Dr. Anthony Fauci, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and other Biden administration officials.
Circle back, Jen.
I have a question. Do you think if those people don't show up to their depositions that they'll go to jail, like some other people have?
I don't know.
And isn't it interesting that Fauci's retiring this year? Like, it's not coincidental that all these attacks are coming out against him, and then he's dipping.
What more does he have to do? I mean, he's made his millions.
He's done it.
You don't see much of this on the news.
But scientists, they like the power of, manipulating things.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't see a lot of this on the news, but the Attorney General for Missouri and Louisiana have accused the Biden administration of colluding to suppress freedom of speech with major tech companies. Yep. And this duo of attorney generals in Missouri and Louisiana allege big tech and the Biden administration worked to suppress speech about COVID-19 and election integrity and other matters unfairly after finding documentation of collusive relationship between the Biden administration and social media companies to censor free speech. Yep. They filed a motion to get these officials under oath. Good. Okay. And so this needs to happen. All right.
And you know what? You know how they got that? Because Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey made comments where they were asked to censor certain things. Right. And then they just took that and rolled with it. And were
exactly right. Yeah, I mean,
they kind of weed their little web.
There's a fine line for private corporations to decide what they want to do and publish on their social media. But once the government starts saying, hey, take those down or censor this or that, that's when it definitely crosses the line for free speech.
Which a bunch of people are freaking out because I think Elon Musk closes tomorrow
on Friday, yeah.
Twitter.
Yep.
And he's letting go a bunch of people.
Yep.
He's firing like 2,500 people. And I was reading, everyone's like, what is going to happen to our speech? Everyone's just going to be able to say whatever they want. And I was like,
that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's the point, people.
The lawsuit alleged that the collusion amounted to an infringement upon the First Amendment rights of everyday people, okay? And so they also approved the deposition of Director White House Digital Strategy Rob Flaherty, okay? And this is a lengthy 26-page order by U.S. District Judge Terry Doughty, who was appointed by President Trump. Went through a list of officials requested for deposition. This is big here, and concluded that Schmidt and Landry satisfied the burden of proof for testimony. So good, this big tech censoring this needs to be confronted. It's basically two examples cited in the suit were suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story right around the election. Okay, but they still are suppressing that.
Yeah, they are.
They're still suppressing that in efforts to curb mentions of the so-called lab leak theory, which hypothesized COVID-19 originated from a lab in Wuhan, China.
Which was proven that's where it actually came from.
Right.
Yes, they censored that.
They
were censoring all that.
And they're still muting the Hunter Biden laptop.
Absolutely.
Like, somebody brought it up at a White House press meeting yesterday, and the guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. The press secretary has been mum on a few things. I watched her this week get a question, and she just stared at him and said, "All right, no more questions," and wouldn't even answer.
Oh, Jean-Pierre White or whatever.
Jean-Pierre.
Yes. Yeah. What can you say? What can you say? There's proof
the
of
truth,
everything.
hopefully.
Right.
But
I think
they
the guy
don't
was
want
like,
to.
what did, the person was asking specific questions like, did Hunter sell it? What happened with that?
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with the arms in New York branch of the China government?
There's
blah,
been
blah,
all
blah,
sorts
blah,
of things.
blah.
Yeah.
So they're actually asking her questions?
Yeah.
Well, not her.
On TV?
It was, I don't know who he is. I don't know his name, but it was a guy at the, who's the guy?
In her press conference.
Yes, in the press conference. I think the guy goes before her, and then she comes
Guarantee you
on.
they don't show that.
No, I saw it on Breaking 911 News on
Right.
Instagram.
They're not showing.
No.
The regular news. But what we're talking about, back to this timeline, you had the 144,000 Jews being sealed by God. And just be patient, because I'm going to bring all this together, all right, in an order here by the end. But I want to remind you guys, Revelation is not written in order, the book of Revelation, just like the book of Daniel. So the next event, these two dudes come along called the two witnesses. Here in Revelation 11:3, we have two witnesses that will prophesy for 1,260 days and will be clothed in sackcloth. So God is going to send these two witnesses to prophesy, validate the world's sin and blasphemy. And we have done a whole podcast on these guys, all right? This is Revelation chapter 11. And while the for sure identities of the two witnesses are unknown, we talked about this, but experts agree one of them will be Elijah, okay, is currently in heaven. He never died. It says Malachi chapter 4, it says, I will send you the prophet of Elijah, that great and dreadful day of the Lord comes. Okay? Before that great and dreadful day. All right? So that's the Lord's, the second coming. This is the tribulation. So this is why experts believe he is one of the two witnesses. The other witness, most people believe, is Enoch, right? Because Enoch didn't die. He was just taken up. God loved him so much. He says, I want to be with that guy so much.
Yeah.
He just brought him up to heaven.
Walked away.
How great.
And so
it's pretty impressive.
It is.
I should just take me. But the witnesses.
If Jim's gone next week, we know what happened.
The experts agree that this will be in the first 3.5 years of the tribulation, that these witnesses show up really early. Okay, so these two guys show up, and as we talked about, if everyone tries to harm them, they bring fire from their mouths, and they kill people. And they can, let's just read it. All right. I just don't want to, it's been some time. I want to read about these guys here in Revelation 11, starting with verse 3. I'll give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. There's a whole teaching on this, okay? And if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth, and they devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. So in other words, it's saying they shoot fire out of their mouth at anyone that threatens them. And these have power to shut the heaven, that rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that descendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. All right, that's the Antichrist and the false prophet, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, that's Jerusalem, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Jerusalem was at one time called Sodom and Gomorrah, okay, because it was so bad off. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see on their iPhones, on their 5Gs, their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in the graves. They're just going to leave them lying in the street. Okay, this is during the tribulation. And they that dwell upon the earth are going to have a party. They're going to rejoice over them. They're going to make merry. They're going to send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Okay? After 3.5 days, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon all of them which saw them on their iPhones, okay? And the whole world's going to see this. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascend up into heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So everyone sees this. Everyone sees this.
I know you keep saying iPhones, but I was reading an article where somebody was creating a contact lens that would have the news scrolling on your eyes all the time.
By then, with the mark of the beast, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? It, maybe your iPhone will be in your head.
I mean,
you can have a little screen on your hand.
Over 70% of the phone market is not iPhones, by the way.
Okay, Androids, we love you too.
Thank you. I feel validated.
Okay, flip phones, we love you too.
But their camera's not good enough to really...
No, it's a terrible camera.
It helps when the person doesn't move their hand when they're taking a picture.
That's true.
Blurry pictures.
It's one of my...
Are you being funny? Okay, so listen. They will be invisible, these guys, for a time because of their supernatural scholars. Many scholars believe they will protect the tribulation temple, right? If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes out of their mouths and kills people. They will be not invisible, invincible. They will be invincible. The Bible did not say that they would be invisible. That would be a neat power.
That would be a good trick.
They'll be invincible.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not on my game today. I need to quit saying that.
Do you need?
You should have. Sorry,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You're just being funny again. I noted that. They have the power to stop the rain. They have power to turn water into blood. They can hit the earth with plagues. This sounds like Exodus.
You think those angels that are like waiting are just at their beck and call? The angels you talked about in the beginning that are on the northeast, southwest?
I think those angels are controlling the winds.
So, okay.
You mean for the seals of the 144,000?
Yeah. They're not like the same operating angels that are over all this? I'm just wondering. Different?
No, I do not. I do not think so.
It's just their...
They're stamped there. That's their location?
I think if anything, these guys probably have extra protection.
Yeah.
They probably have personal bodyguard type angels. But the angels that are on the equator, the north, south, east, west.
They're always there.
Those guys were sent down to unleash. They're going to be part of the. Remember how the seals affected the ocean and the
Yes.
trumpets, and you got all this stuff coming, right?
So they're there
Right.
waiting for their commands.
They're gonna the winds are gonna carry a lot of that stuff,
Okay.
right? Do you know
All
what
right.
I'm saying?
Yes, I get it.
Like if there is nuclear war, what do we say? The sixth seal was possible nuclear war.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the fallout is part of that seal.
Right.
The fallout from the nuclear war. Well, what controls the fallout? Well, the wind. The
Yep.
wind, right? So those angels are pushing the wind. And so putting this all in perspective on this timeline, you have the Bible just saying that these two witnesses are going to be here for 1,260 days.
Wild.
Well, three and
That's
a
a
half
lot of
years.
Yeah.
For them to get attacked day after
Three
day.
and a half years, and I'm not counting leap years, is approximately 1,277 days, according to Lonaiah's calculator. I wonder if
Okay, you guys.
I
You
wonder
do
if-
365 times 3, and then you divide
that's fine.
it.
Look, the only thing is, I wonder if these two guys are going to show up 14 days into the 7-day tribulation. Okay?
Right.
Because most prophecy experts believe that their lifespan is only 3.5 years. Right? And I just think it's interesting. They're here 1,260 days. They're going to live halfway through the tribulation, and they come on the scene like 2 weeks. It seems like on the timeline, that's just short of 3.5 years.
You think that's
1,260 days is just short.
You think that's right after they signed the
12
peace treaty, the Antichrist and
Maybe.
Israel? That then it's like they signed it and then go?
But 1260 is, the Jewish calendar is 360 days, right?
Right. So it's 1,260.
It'd be
We did
3.5.
365. I did the American.
Yeah.
But look, any way you look at it, these guys are here right away, right? And so you have the first seal, the Antichrist. Here comes the Antichrist, right? Then you have the Antichrist, boom, striking a covenant with the nation of Israel, right? You have the 144,000 Jews, and I think these witnesses being sealed up, right? Okay, remember we've talked, I'm just kind of reminding you what we've talked about. But these witnesses come in early, all right? 1,260 days, they're here at the beginning of the tribulation. Now, so what do we got? What do we have for this timeline, you guys? We've got the first 9 out of 31 things in Revelation. You have the 7 seals are open. Let me just take you through. Can I take you through?
Please
Can I
do.
take you through the order? The first 9 things. Number 1, Antichrist rises. Number 2, I believe there will be a 7-year covenant signed with the nation of Israel by the Antichrist right away. I believe right around that time, you're going to have the 2 witnesses appear, okay? Then you're going to have the second seal right around that time. No one knows for sure, which is a spirit of murder and minimum, probably many wars breaking out. Third seal, economic collapse and famine. Fourth seal, 1/4 of the earth is killed. That's 2 billion people by hunger, death, and animal attacks. Number 5, number 5, many believers die, okay, are martyred, mass martyred. Then you've got the earthquake with possible nuclear war, the 6th seal. Then after that, you've got the 144,000 Jews getting the seal of God on their foreheads that will further evangelize the earth. This is a loose, this isn't exact. It's using common sense in a lot of ways to put these things in order. And next week, we'll pick up from there on the tribulation timeline with the 10th event. We go through about 12 events next week, 12 events. The 7 trumpets combined with 5 other events and how that all seems to play out, right? Yeah. And we'll talk about that next week. Do you guys have any comment on any of this so far?
Well, it's how many Christians do you think are on the earth right now?
Honestly, I believe it just says that you have to believe that Jesus died and rose again. Mm-hmm. Like that's all you have to believe. What is 1 John? What's famous John? Whosoever believes in him,
right?
Whosoever so believes in him. First,
whosoever.
What's that famous? Dad,
John 3:16.
John 3:16.
Yeah.
Whosoever believes in him,
right?
Whosoever believes in him shall have everlasting life.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of people put a lot of extra on who's going to heaven.
Well, the thief on the cross, he didn't have anything.
Said, "I remember you."
Yeah, right there.
Or he said, "Remember me, Jesus."
Yeah.
And he got into heaven.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, I believe the rapture, I honestly believe, you know what I believe? I believe there's probably 800 million to 1 billion.
Yeah. That's
Christians.
kind of what I think too.
I believe 1 billion. I believe that there's going to, I believe like 1 billion people are going to be gone. Now you have a lot of people saying there's backslidden Christians,
Right.
the backslidden Christians. There's,
Yeah.
You can't even find the word backslide in the New Testament.
Right.
Backslide.
But isn't that just somebody judging somebody else's
It is.
Yeah,
relationship
that
with
has
God?
nothing to do with their heart
No.
and
So,
their relationship.
To answer your question, John, after all that, I think there's between 800 million and 1 billion people will be going in.
Yeah.
And I know that's high.
Sure.
I'm on the high end.
Sure.
But I see God
It's
as
hopeful.
a God of mercy.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I see
hopeful.
God as a God of mercy. You either believe he died for you or you don't.
Right.
Okay? And I think everybody's going. So
I agree. It's just interesting to see if the church is going first, and I believe it will be the rapture and then the tribulation. It's interesting to think about what all of these events are going to happen on the tail end of all of a sudden 1 billion people gone from the face
And
of
then
the
just
earth.
mass chaos with boom,
Right.
boom, boom, boom.
Right.
and then the seals start.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just chaos.
Yeah, for sure.
They will welcome a guy like the Antichrist.
Yes.
Yes.
They will welcome him like I got the answers, right?
Yep,
It just takes someone in that situation with
Right.
confidence that, and he's going to have a little bit of a demonic anointing on him,
Yeah.
if you can even call it that.
Yep.
And so I promise you, we will get to in the final hour podcast. The very scripture says the church is restraining evil right now.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, it's our job that you've got to pray. But just in the meantime, I'm getting to one of these. It says that one way you restrain evil is you got to pray for leaders. 1 Timothy 2:1-2. First of all, then I admonish you and urge that petitions, prayers, intercessions, thanksgiving be offered on behalf of all men. Verse for kings and all who are in positions of authority or high responsibility, and that outwardly we may pass a quiet and undisturbed life, and inwardly a peaceable one in all godliness and reverence and seriousness in every way. Okay, can I just tell you, if you want a peaceful life, pray for your leader.
Yeah.
Bad or good.
Whether you like them or not.
Bad or good. The Bible says you have to resist the devil for him to flee. You have the power to resist the demons, all right, that are assigned to him. Okay, we're not talking about witchcraft and making him do something he doesn't want to do, right? But you can push back things that are affecting him. All right. It says, why would you pray for a bad king? Okay, it says pray for all who are in positions of authority.
Right.
What's another reason you would pray for a bad king, making bad choices with a bad heart, right? But yet you pray for him. Why? Because you have power. Your authority has the power to move that, to move those things around his, causing him to make a lot of the decisions that he's making. And so I wonder, I don't have what do you think? We've gone about 40 minutes right now?
I think I think it's been an hour-ish.
Oh, we don't know?
It's been good.
40? I don't think it's been an hour.
Okay.
Do you? Do you have anything funny to say, by the way?
No.
Okay, I'm just messing with you. All right.
I know I'm funny.
Hilarious.
Okay, 47 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
JD.
I'm hilarious.
All right, this is the last segment here. We did it different to 2 segments of each today, but Canada. This is the different, but between a socialistic country and a real democracy. Okay, can I just tell you that? Am I making sense there?
I think
Socialism.
And one of the things that America is having trouble right now is the difference between a democracy and a republic.
Right.
Which we are a republic. Democracy is just mob rule.
Well, okay, a republic.
But, yeah.
They
Thank you, John.
they can't do this, right, to us.
Right.
Canada bans new handgun sales and latest gun control
It's a
action.
fight on your hands if you try.
How, when the prime minister can just say, nobody else can buy a handgun.
Yeah.
trade, sell,
That's
anything.
That's why we
Anything.
love America.
Yeah.
Okay, because they can't. That's a tough call. That's to be a hard thing for them to do. And they said, this is Trudeau. We've frozen the market for handguns in this country. All right. And we see gun violence continue to rise. He says, today our national handgun freeze is coming into force. And so Friday's action stops people from buying, selling, or transferring handguns within Canada, prevents them from bringing newly acquired handguns into the country. And so, this is something we need to be watching here. This is from mostimportantnews.com, all right? We get this. A guy named Michael Schneider, he's really, we use this guy all the time.
Yeah, he has like 3 different blog sites.
Yeah, but he's written books on the 7-year apocalypse, Lost Prophecy, Get Prepared Now, The Beginning and the End. But he's got 5 signs that the war between Russia and NATO is about to spiral out of control. And people are just kind of, but there's been a lot of talk about a dirty bomb. Okay?
Yeah.
And the Russians, now this is how they cover this. The Russians are alleging that the Ukrainians are preparing to detonate a dirty bomb, okay, in their own territory in order to motivate the Western powers to get even more involved in the conflict. So this is Russia. Think about this. Russia's saying the Ukrainians are about to detonate a nuclear bomb in their own territory, right? So what does that cover? They're going to point the finger and say they did it. The Ukrainians did it. The Ukrainians did it, right? This is kind of scary talk here. Russia's defense chiefs on Sunday alleged Ukraine was preparing a provocation involving a radioactive device, a stark claim that reflecting soaring tensions as Moscow struggles to stem Ukrainian advances in the south. And so they're saying that Ukraine is going to set off a nuclear weapon on themselves to get the West involved. But doesn't that seem scary?
It does.
Like
I'm
that
actually
seems
looking,
like what Russia is already setting this up to do this, right?
Right.
Like.
And we have sent over, I'm trying to just see Jimmy Evans had a thing about this today, actually, because the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division has been deployed to Europe for the first time since World War II. They're known as the Screaming Eagles. They sent 4,700 soldiers from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and they're now positioned 3 miles away from Romania's border within Ukraine.
Interesting.
The 101st is one of the most famous units in U.S. military history. So that's pretty wild that that's pretty wild that they're over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
The 101st, arguably one of the most successful, for sure one of the most famous units in U.S. military history, and now suddenly they are sitting on the border of the Ukraine in training. I think that's very interesting. Okay? And so they call themselves the Screaming Eagles, and they are trained to deploy to any battlefield in the world, no matter where it is. They can fight anywhere.
That's amazing.
Airborne, it started in Korea, I believe. The real... these guys, the Army Airborne, I was just watching a documentary on them in Korea.
Yeah.
And I know that there was airborne in World War II, right?
Yep.
But this whole the ability to deploy to any battle, anytime within the world,
right?
It doesn't matter what weather. All right. Remember, Korea was a cold. It was a war that was, for the most part, in the freezing temperatures.
It was not fun.
And so, but the Screaming Eagles are involved in exercises near the Ukrainian border as we speak. Now, here's his third reason: 1 million rounds of ammunition, but not just bullets. Listen to this, okay? Over 1 million rounds of howitzer ammunition.
Howitzer.
Okay, howitzer. The U.S. has now provided Ukraine with over 1 million rounds of howitzer ammunition. Okay, listen to this. That's a serious artillery piece. It's one of our best.
Yes.
The howitzer. Okay, It shoots 14 miles. Okay, so you can
It's wild.
you can pinpoint locations
Yeah.
14 miles out. Get this, you guys, 903,000. Okay, 903,000 standard 155 millimeter howitzer rounds. Okay, do you know those cost $10,000 a piece?
That's crazy.
Yeah, they're this
Yeah.
big. Cost $10,000 a piece. And so me and Lonaiah, we on Lonaiah's famous calculator, we we went 10,000.
It's right whenever Jim's breathing over my shoulder.
We went 1 million times 10,000. Okay,
Oh yeah,
and you can't even read that number.
it was
right?
like 1E10.
Yeah, it doesn't even give you a
I don't
number.
even know what that
So
means.
That's how much money we've
You gotta
spent.
add 4 zeros to the millions.
1 million
Yeah.
howitzer rounds. Okay, $10,000
Yeah.
a piece.
10
Right?
million.
John's going to think about that the rest of the podcast. But whatever it is, it's in the billions. Is it more than the?
It's 10 billion.
$10 billion.
$10 billion.
And howitzer
Google
rounds
makes sure.
alone. Okay? Okay. The new aid package, most likely to be part of a bill, thrown into this spending bill, could be within the range of roughly $50 billion.
On top of what we've already given.
Yes. New age package. So, number 4 is, not just the fact that we've spent $10 billion in howitzer rounds. Imagine that. That's some serious artillery.
Crazy. Yeah.
The Ukraine is sitting with 1 million of artillery rounds, right? And so a lot of mercenaries from Western nations have been fighting alongside the Ukrainians for a long time. But now Iranian troops are actually in the Ukraine, directly engaged on the ground. Did you know that, JD?
I didn't either.
Iranian troops are directly engaged on the ground in the Crimea, supporting Russian drone attacks on the Ukraine's infrastructure and civilian population. This is a big deal.
Goodness,
okay?
yeah.
And the U.S. government has confirmed the Russian attacks have employed unmanned aerial vehicles purchased from Tehran in attacks carried against Ukrainian target from bases on the peninsula that Russian annexed from the Ukraine. All right? And so we know the Russians have been using Iranian drones to strike targets. But listen, the Iran is also, you have Iranian troops now, all right, on the ground, all right? Now you have fighting this war with Russia. Now you have Iranian troops conducting large-scale military drills on its border with Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan. Okay, now this is key, right? This is only 2 countries away from the Ukraine. Isn't that what we saw?
Yeah.
2 countries. So they're threatening this country. Say it again, John. Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. Yeah, you got it.
They're threatening Azerbaijan. They're running military drills. They've got their army right on the border. And what people don't realize is if they invade Azerbaijan, they're that much closer, and it's just a free shot into the Ukraine. Okay? And so they're getting very aggressive. Now they're using Iranian troops to fight this war against the Ukraine. Number 5, their relentless bombing of the power infrastructure. The Russians have decided to take the gloves off. They have started relentlessly bombing electrical infrastructure all over the Ukraine. It threatening a major humanitarian crisis because winter is approaching. Missiles, Iranian drones being operated by the Iranians are being used to rain down upon key civilian infrastructure targets, mainly power stations. As the weather gets colder, the days get darker. And our leaders don't seem to understand that we could be on the brink of a nuclear conflict. Okay? They are so determined to win this battle on the global chessboard that they can't even see the bigger picture. We've reached a stage where one wrong move could unleash death and destruction on an international scale.
Yeah.
And so, this is things you want to be praying for wisdom, just not to make the wrong move, all right, that would cause the Russians, because the Russians, they're already setting it up to blame it on Ukraine. They're going to say
sure.
they did it on themselves. They did it on themselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what happens then? What happens at that point when the first nuke is used? You have to command the principalities and the powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world, the spiritual wickedness in high places that are moving behind these world powers. Okay? All right? If it says, we just read, if you want to live a peaceful life yourself,
Right.
hint. You have the power to pray. You have the power to do this. And on top of that, you have the power to vote. What do you guys think about this stuff?
The war? I don't know, but I want to say something about the drones, because did anybody see China just release footage of it's like a dog drone. It has a gun on the back of it.
No.
Yeah, you should Google it. I just saw it this morning. It
A
is.
dog
They're
drone
just yes,
with
they're dropping it off. It comes down on this little like spider thing, and it brings it down, drops it, and then the dog gets up and then there's like this huge gun on his back.
Sounds like
So
a few sci-fi movies that I've watched before.
Yes, but like
crazy.
just when I hear drones, that's what I'm thinking of now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I got.
Well,
It's good stuff.
listen,
Hard hitting.
next week... Next week, we have got the next 12 events on the Revelation
I'm not coming
timeline. We're
back.
going to put them all together. All right? And then so we've got 12. So by next week,
please.
we'll be at 21 events of
Please
the
come back.
31. 21 of 31 events next week we would have gone through, where by the end, I just want to rattle them off. Boom, 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 okay? We went through 9 with you today. And remember, I'm coming up with new information, different takes from different scholars that maybe we did not teach earlier. I want to kind of work this into it. And so we just thank you so much for viewing and for listening. Everybody on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube.
Yep.
We thank you so much. Please continue to subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please, new viewers, new listeners, please subscribe. It helps us in so many ways.
And I was actually reading, if you like the podcast on any of the platforms, you should write a review, because it actually throws you into the algorithms more if you write a review.
And so,
Please do.
And we're honored just to do this.
Yeah.
I thank God for this every day, and it is a lot of preparation, a lot of work. Although we may have not seemed real prepared today, it is a lot of work every week, and it's an honor to be able to do this. And it makes us study, it makes us stay aware, it makes us be a watchman on the walls. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Final Hour podcast. God bless you. May He surround you with His favor as with a shield.